brothers and sisters, my name is Pröbsting. I'm the International Secretary of the Revolutionary Communist International Tendency, RCIT. Today I want to speak about some important developments concerning the right of refugees to enter Europe, and concerning the related to this, concerning the policy of the European Union to interfere in Libya and in Northern Africa. In the last few days there have been some important developments concerning these issues. First, the European Union has decided to send warships not only to the Mediterranean Sea to stop refugees coming to Europe. This is what they have done already until now, but now they have decided to enter Libyan waters so that they can stop refugees leaving Libya, and so that they can send them back immediately. Secondly, the French President Macron has called to create so-called hotspots inside Libya, so that African people or other refugees can be stopped leaving Libya and can be forced to remain there. Third, the French President has also initiated a meeting between the Prime Minister of the so-called transitional government of Libya, Fayez Sarraj, and General Haftar, who controls most of the east in Libya. And the outcome of this meeting has been a declaration which called for new elections in the spring of 2018, as well as the demobilization, this means the disarmament of all the fighters in Libya. This is another important development because it would mean the disarmament of many militias which are not under the control of the European Imperialists or of any regime in Libya or of General Haftar. And therefore it would be an important tool to pacify Libya and to disarm and to finish off the revolutionary process which has started in Libya in 2011. Fourth, some weeks ago the French president also launched an initiative to create a so-called anti-terror force consisting of at least 5,000 soldiers, can be up to 10,000, which should intervene in Northern Africa, in the Sahel area, in order to fight against any rebellious movements. Now, these are some important developments. What is the background of it? First of all, it is the dramatic impoverization of the people in Africa. According to the World Food Programme, Africa is currently facing the worst hunger crisis ever. The background of this is the huge exploitation of Africa by the imperialist monopolies, by the banks, by the great powers. The Global Justice Campaign has recently published a study which proves that the imperialist powers and corporations are plundering the wealth of Africa in an enormous degree. In the year 2015 alone, the imperialist corporations withdraw extracted net wealth of Africa worth 41 billion US dollar. They are much more squeezing out of Africa than they are investing into the continent. Obviously, these developments create a lot of desperation. Many African people or people from other areas which are also impoverishing, want to enter Europe. This is their full right. They have the right to come to Europe, as this is a place, or a central place from which the exploitation of Africa originates. But of course the European imperialist powers want to stop this. They don't want the refugees to come. They don't want the refugees to share, to have a share in the wealth of Europe. But they want them to stay in Africa. Likewise, they fear the ongoing revolutionary process in countries like Libya. They hated the Arab Revolution from the beginning, and they are determined to liquidate the revolutionary process in a whole Arab world. This is an interest they join together with other imperialist great powers like the United States or Russia. That's why the European Union supports also the reactionary imperialist interventions in Syria, in Iraq, in Somalia, in Mali, as well as other countries. So all in all, we see some very important developments, which all have the background that the imperialist European powers want to increase their grip and their control of Libya and the whole North African region. That they want to increase their control in order to better exploit these countries. Don't forget how rich Libya is in terms of oil and other natural resources. They want to stop the refugees coming to Europe. Now, what should be the response of the progressive, democratic, socialist forces in Africa, in Europe, and internationally? We, the RCIT, we think it's absolutely important that all progressive forces, the trade unions, socialist forces in Europe fight against this attempt of the imperialist governments to close the road for refugees to come to Europe. Obviously, we support the heroic efforts of activists of various NGOs in the Mediterranean Sea to help refugees coming to Europe, but it's clear that this is not enough. It's urgent that the trade unions, that mass organizations, the migrant organizations, etc. in Europe, they join forces and pressurize the imperialist governments to open the borders, to let the refugees in, that refugees in Europe have the same democratic rights, citizenship rights, the same wages, etc. as European workers, so that they can also not be utilized and exploited as cheap reserve labor against the European workers. We are for equal rights and equal wages for all people living here. They should fight against the imperialist fortress Europe. They should fight against, together with their brothers and sisters in Africa, they should fight against any attempts of the imperialist great powers to interfere in Libya, to interfere in Africa. They should oppose any attempts to pacify, to enforce a pacification in Libya and to disarm the fighters. And they should support any attempts to revitalize the revolutionary process in Libya, so that all forces join together in order to fight against this attempt to pacify Libya, against the attempt to give power back to such reactionary forces like General Haftar, a former figure in a Gaddafi state apparatus, and who is now also central to liquidate the Libyan revolution. So in this spirit, we call the international workers' movement and all progressive forces to join forces to fight together with us for opening the borders of Europe, for revitalizing the Arab Revolution, and for building an international organization in order to achieve such goals. Long live socialism, long live international solidarity.